We are witnessing some of the greatest to ever do it. Tom Izzo, Caitlin Clark, milestones all over the place. Let's celebrate it. Lockdown Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get started. So we're going to talk about Tom Izzo. He's the 700 club. We're going to talk about Caitlin Clark. Keeps on moving up the scoring list. Got some news, some Ohio State Buckeye football news. Hang for that. Plus Big Ten classics at the end. Be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Well, congratulations are in order. First of all, let's back up a day and a half. Tom Izzo had a great night on Tuesday night on his home court. He earned his 700th career win on his 69th birthday, mind you, and defeated state rival Michigan by 19 points. Easy breezy. That's a great night. Izzo mentioned how the milestone was particularly satisfying because he earned all 700 wins at the same school. Several of Izzo's alumni were in attendance to witness the game, including Steve Smith and Mateen Cleaves. Coaches always love it when their former players come back and celebrate with them and remember the path to the glory years. It's all a great time. Izzo has had a really, really good run. There's no question. And fun guy to root for as well. He took over the Spartans program from his mentor, Judd Heathcote, back in 1995, and he's now the 38th men's coach to reach 700 wins. That in itself is impressive. By reference, the high mark was Duke's Mike Krzyzewski with 1,202 wins. So another 502 wins to go. Izzo joked that Coach K is not worried about Izzo catching him. Again, just turning 69 years old on the night with the big win. But the path to 700 wins has already included an induction into the Hall of Fame, which he received back in 2016. Meanwhile, other things to talk about him, and the list is long, really, when you think about it. Regarding this particular game itself, though, these two programs, Michigan and Michigan State, are going in two different directions. The Wolverines have lost 4 in a row and 9 of the last 10. But the Wolverines do lead the all-time series between the schools 104-89, but the Spartans have won 8 of 12. And since Izzo has been the head coach, he's 33-21 in that series. You know, after a slow start this year with the Michigan State basketball team, they're starting to put things together, getting better each and every day. We would expect nothing less out of a Tom Izzo basketball team. Scheduled a lot of tough ranked teams early on, trying to get his team tough and ready. Sometimes you win those, sometimes you don't. This year they lost most of them, to be honest with you. Trying to figure out how things were going to get put together, but they're coming together. Kind of getting it dialed in here a little bit, just in time before we start preparing for March, which is right around the corner. Look, Izzo is very familiar with the month of March. He has led the Spartans to 8 Final Fours. They won it all back in 2000. In fact, the Spartans are an amazing 55-23 in the NCAA tournament under Izzo. The Spartans host Maryland. The Terps coming in to East Lansing on Saturday. That's a team that they're kind of fighting with that second tier in the Big Ten. You know, in the Big Ten, You've got Purdue, Wisconsin, and Illinois, I think, have separated themselves a little bit. And then you got that next tier. Some think the Big Ten will get 5, maybe 6 teams in the tournament. And that's where schools like Michigan State and Maryland are battling each other out. That's why this game is very important Saturday for Michigan State to go ahead and beat Maryland. And Maryland, it's just going to be just as important for them as well. If you're a Terps fan checking this out, those teams may be on the bubble looking for an NCAA tournament bid. Michigan, one more note, by the way, under Juwan Howard, there was really struggle. They returned home to play a pesky Rutgers team on Saturday. So again, congratulations to Tom Izzo, 700 wins, all at Michigan State. All right, that wasn't the only big news this week into Big Ten. The ladies, Lady Hawkeyes, Caitlin Clark, she beat Northwestern on Wednesday night, 110-74. In fact, the Hawkeyes scored 30. So they pretty much already had the game in hand and then just scored 37 in the fourth quarter. Just really blowing the doors off at that point. 110-74 the final. Now, going into the game, Clark needed 5 points to pass Jackie Stiles, formerly of Missouri State, for third place on the NCAA women's all-time scoring list. And then she needed 14 points to pass Kelsey Mitchell at Ohio State. She did both in this game here on Wednesday night. Passed about 35 points on the night, 11 of 22 from the field, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, had 10 assists and 6 rebounds, just a typical stat line for Caitlin Clark as she moves into second place in the NCAA women's scoring mark all time. And she's projected to pass and become the number one all-time leading scorer sometime around mid-February in a couple of weeks. Maybe a game against Michigan is what people are kind of circling the calendar with regarding Clark, who is just absolutely a blast to watch. She's a fan favorite no matter where you're from. She's homegrown, a hero from Des Moines, Iowa, and she was an Iowa Miss Basketball, a McDonald's All-American. Started her career at Iowa playing in empty arenas due to a pandemic, and then became the Big Ten Freshman of the Year in 2020-21. And now you can't get a ticket to see her play anywhere, home or away. Everything's sold out. It's virtually impossible. And she's won about every award possible, scoring marks, valuable player type awards. Last year was the AP Player of the Year, the John R. Wooden Award winner, and the Naismith College Player of the Year. Everything. The trophy case is full, and still wanting a national championship, though. That's still out there. She started playing basketball at the age of 5. Her dad put her in a boys' league because she couldn't find any girls' leagues for girls that young. And her current popularity, of course, will put an end to that. Little girls all over the state of Iowa and all over the country, for that matter, want to play basketball and be like her as the sport continues to grow. Clark's favorite player growing up was Maya Moore with the WNBA's Minnesota Lynx, because that was the closest team to Iowa. Moore was a 4-time WNBA champion, but Clark and her dad would drive 3.5 hours to go see the Lynx games. And that's one way. When she was in high school, everyone could see how special she was. She even scored 60 points in a game once in high school. By her senior year, she was averaging 33 points per game. So schools have been recruiting her since like 6th or 7th grade before she ever played high school. Division I schools obviously decided to stay at home and go to Iowa. Everybody's better for it. And it's been an awesome, awesome career. And she's about to close out her career as the NCAA's all-time leading scorer and possibly a national champion with the Lady Hawkeyes if they could close it out in March. So a lot of great things happening this week. If you're a Michigan State fan and Tom Izzo, or if you're an Iowa Hawkeyes fan and Caitlin Clark, just wanted to give some strong kudos to them and their fans out there as well, who have enjoyed every minute of it. If you want to comment on it, you can always hit me up at Twitter or X at TalkBig10. That's the number 10. And of course, also on YouTube as well. Don't forget our website. You see it down below, talkbig10number10.com. Lots of information. We got, you can get some Big Ten swag, and not just the Big Ten, but from your favorite team, whatever your school is, Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa, Indiana. They're all out there. We got it for you. Go to the website. Also ticket information there too, if you want to go to any games. Although I'm going to tell you, the Iowa games at home, can't get any of those tickets, man. It's incredible. But anyway, check that out. Or actually go to Game Time. You can get those tickets there. That's a little tip for you. So anyway, why did Ryan Day at Ohio State actually hire Bill O'Brien as an offensive coordinator? It was a big move that we talked about just a little while ago. And he's doing some media rounds now, and he gave his reasons why he hired him. We'll talk about that. Plus, later on, our Big Ten Classics. It's all coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. Happy Super Bowl to everybody out there. And you can celebrate with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Look, if you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday, you're hunkered down, you're focused. The players are focused. The fans got to be focused here. They're on the couch, get the food, get the drinks, everything. And you've got FanDuel right there on your phone, and you can have fun with that and play some super bets for that big game. FanDuel has many ways for you to close out your football season with a W, get the win, maybe 2, maybe 3. The prop bets are the best, but many ways for you to get in on the action for Super Bowl 58. The prop bets, players who will score a touchdown, who will score first, how many points will be scored, heads or tails on the coin flip, what color's the Gatorade that gets dumped on the winning coach. All that stuff is out there. It's fun. It's right there. Don't miss out. The Super Bowl's fun as it is. It makes it way more fun if you got the prop bets like that. So new customers, join today and you get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys always being out there every day. If you're brand new, thanks for discovering us. Meanwhile, if you're new or if you've been around, whatever the case is, feel free to subscribe. That really helps us out. Subscribe on YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And again, don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com as well. Ryan Day, of course, made a big splash recently when he hired former Texans head coach and Alabama offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien. Of course, Bill O'Brien had a couple stints with the Patriots as well as the new offensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, first of all, it was a significant move because Ryan Day will be totally giving up play calling just completely, just handing off the offense to Bill O'Brien. Ryan Day doesn't like to do that. Ryan Day likes to have his fingers on the offense. There's no question. But after some self-reflection, which he does every year in order to tweak or change things up, he noted that the landscape of college football is just changing too rapidly recently, and his role as head coach and all the other head coaches it's changing. It's changing too much. It's about other stuff other than football these days. So he's decided to give up the play calling to Ryan Day, let him totally control the offense. Day has to worry about things like name, image, and likeness, and transfer portals, and keeping kids and recruiting kids, and it's a whole different deal. Media, all that. Some of that stuff's always been around, but now it's just an all-encompassing job. And since Bill O'Brien, he said, look, I wouldn't just hire anybody and hand the reins of the offense of our football team to anybody, but, O'Brien's got 31 years experience in both the NFL and college football, and that gives Day some comfort in handing over the reins. Plus, they continued that O'Brien's experience with some big-time quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson. Very helpful. The Buckeyes have 5 really good quarterbacks in that quarterback room, but not one of them has nailed down a starter's job. So he's really going to rely on Bill O'Brien to try and figure that out and help him out there. Okay. So speaking of those quarterbacks, Julian Sayin, he was the freshman recruit that we have talked about at length here, who decommitted from Alabama just as soon as Nick Saban announced his retirement. And then he announced he's going to Ohio State. He's already got his first NIL deal, by the way. He signed an exclusive multi-year trading card deal with Panini America that includes autographed trading cards and marketing opportunities. Other quarterbacks that have signed with Panini's NIL football roster are Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning from Texas, Nebraska freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola, who just transferred or changed his mind. He's coming to Nebraska instead of Georgia. Former Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. is getting ready to go into the NFL. So big NIL deal for the new quarterback, and he hasn't even taken a snap yet. Again, here's the pressure sometimes with these NIL deals. A company wants to sign a player. That company wants to make sure that player's on the football field. he's going to have to fight his way on at Ohio State. And there's a couple other quarterbacks that are every bit as good as he is there. So it's going to be interesting. Kyle McCord, the thought on the street was that he went to Ryan Day and said, "Hey, man, after what I did this year, am I going to be your starting quarterback next year?" And Day says, I can't promise you that right now. McCord's he's got sponsors. He's got sponsors that need to see him on the field. So I went to Syracuse. Not a great move, but he'll be starting. Anyway, elsewhere, new Michigan State football coach Jonathan Smith announced on social media that the Spartans will offer a spring showcase, April 20th at Spartan Stadium. No other details were offered, but this will be about the time of the calendar when spring football will be wrapping up. So this is probably some version of the spring game, if that's what he wants to call it. That's his deal. Some coaches don't do a full-on spring game or like to. Maybe it's a scrimmage, a showcase, whatever you want to call it. His spring showcases at Oregon State included 45 minutes of practice and then an hour of scrimmaging in front of all the fans. So that's probably what he's going to do here in East Lansing. Michigan State, of course, finished 4-8 last year, including the firing of Mel Tucker at the beginning of the season, fired for cause, which involved accusations of sexual misconduct, which he denied. Tough year for Michigan State. Smith coming in from Oregon State, going to try and breathe some life into that Michigan State football program. But that's his plan for spring right now as we speak. Hey, some great hoops last night. Did you check it out? I was watching that number 2 Purdue get that game into overtime against Northwestern and Boo Buie. Purdue goes out and wins 105-96. Those two teams have met twice now in the last month. The home team has won it. The home team has won it in overtime. These two teams, they battle, man. They're good matchups for each other. Zach Edey's just unstoppable, though. Once the bigs started fouling out for Northwestern, what are you going to do? We have some hoops tonight, Thursday night. One game tonight in the Big Ten, and this is a good one. I've been telling you about this one for a couple days. Number 6, Wisconsin. They're on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska at home is a different team than they are on the road. Nebraska is good. And Nebraska, I've been telling you for about 3 weeks now, I'm surprised they're not ranked in the top 25. They go get this game, they'll be ranked in the top 25. And be a good quality win for their resume for March. So watch out for Nebraska at home. I'm calling it. I'm going to call it, right? I don't do picks until Friday show, but I'm gonna say Nebraska with the upset at home over number 6 Wisconsin. Check it out, 8:30 Eastern time on the Big Ten Network. And for the women, the Wisconsin Lady Badgers in action at number 8 Ohio State. Hey, Locked On has launched the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's Locked On Sports Today. That's what it's called. Got the top sports stories of the day. Local experts from Locked On, plus our national shows are on there all the time. Every half hour, we're on there from time to time. So just check it out from all of our leagues, all of our teams. It's pretty good. It's pretty slick. It's called Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, and you can subscribe there after you subscribe here. Help me out. Let's help each other out. Be part of the Big Ten family. Subscribe, Locked On Big Ten, and then go subscribe to Locked On Sports Today as well. You'll love it. All right. We have a look at our Big Ten Classics and live programming for the Big Ten Network coming up. And we told you we're not affiliated with the Big Ten Network. We just have a really common interest with the same stuff. Okay. So we'll take a look at that as we continue. Live action and Big Ten Classics coming up on the weekend right here in just a minute here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, let's get back into the action. And we'll take a look at the Big Ten Classics and live action coming up this weekend on the Big Ten Network. And we'll put it here on full screen so you can check it out. If you're listening on audio, we shall describe it. We pick up the action here on Friday, the 2nd, February 2nd. Groundhog Day is here. And we're starting off with a Maryland basketball classic. Is Maryland at Michigan State. This is from 2014. Des Wells scored 16 points in a game-tying 3 with 2.2 seconds to go, and the number 12 ranked Terps win in overtime over Michigan State, 68-66. So check that out. If you're at work at 2 o'clock, you can go ahead and record it. At 6:30, Friday night's a big wrestling night in the Big Ten. 6:30 Eastern time, Big Ten wrestling. Ohio State is at Penn State. It's a good football matchup, good wrestling matchup. And then 8:30, more Big Ten wrestling. Iowa is at Michigan. So that's what's going on Friday night. We take a look to Saturday, February 3rd. Again, these are all Eastern times. Starting off at noon, we got Michigan State basketball, Michigan State Classic. They are at Maryland from 2016. And Denzel Valentine scored 18 points to carry the Spartans to a 3-point win over the Terps. This is the semifinal game. This is a March 2016 semifinal game in the Big Ten tournament, and this earns the right to go to the Big Ten championship. So Spartan fans, you want to check that one out. Coming up at 2 o'clock Eastern time, we've got Big Ten men's basketball live action. Northwestern is at Minnesota. Again, Northwestern coming off an emotional loss at West Lafayette this week. Minnesota last week, big win at Penn State. So got some good basketball here at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And then at 4 o'clock, more Big Ten men's basketball. Rutgers at Michigan. Look, Rutgers, they're grinders. No offense, lots of defense. Played Purdue close last week at home. Now they're going on the road at Michigan, and Michigan is struggling. Juwan Howard having a tough time there as well. Also, so that's the 4 o'clock game. At 6 o'clock, we got some women's hoops. Michigan at Penn State. And I will throw this on. It's not on the graphic here, but I'll make mention of it at 8 o'clock Saturday night Eastern time. We've got some Big Ten hockey. I mentioned because it's Michigan and Ohio State. I don't care what sport it is. Michigan and Ohio State, it's a big deal. So that's Saturday night. All right, let's advance the screen now to Sunday, the 4th. At noon Eastern, Big Ten wrestling, Michigan at Indiana at 2 o'clock. We got more wrestling, Northwestern at Minnesota. And at 4 o'clock, we've got Big Ten women's gymnastics, Michigan State at Michigan. And then at 6:30, Big Ten men's basketball, Nebraska at Illinois. So that is on the slate. I mean, what else are you going to watch? There's no NFL football. So check out some Big Ten action on the Big Ten Network, whether it be the classics or live action. Hey, there's always many ways for you to interact with me. You see them on the screen here, Twitter at X, at Talk Big Ten number 10. You see our website crawling down on the bottom there, talkbig10number10.com. All of our podcasts go there. We archive them all, and we group them by teams, too. It makes it easier to find if you want to find just podcasts that are focusing on your teams as well. Plus, you get your Big Ten merch, shirts, hats, pennants, all right there on our website, talkbig10number10.com. And your comments at YouTube are always appreciated as well. Please feel free to subscribe and follow us right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten wherever you get your podcast. And you get the latest episode as soon as it's available. First thing in the morning with the audio at 4 o'clock Eastern, 6 a.m. Eastern for the video. And also don't forget Locked On Sports Today. Go ahead and subscribe and check out our 24/7 streaming channel in addition to Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. That'll do it. We'll get you into the weekend with a Friday episode tomorrow. Keeping an eye on things going on off the field in football and on the court for basketball. Anything else that pops up, we are your go-to source for it. So check us out. Thank you for visiting with us here again. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.